The Amityville Horror in New York. The Lutz family's terrifying haunting. On a cold November morning in 1975, the Lutz family moved into the house at 112 Ocean Avenue, located in Amityville, New York. The home was large and charming, with an old colonial facade, 3 floors, and even a small boathouse that led to the nearby river. Priced at just $80,000, far below market value, and the deal seemed too good to pass up. Even though they were well aware that the house had been the site of a gruesome massacre only a year earlier. On November 13, 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr., the eldest son of the DeFeo family, had used a rifle to shoot and kill 6 of his family members while they slept. His parents, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters. He was later arrested and sentenced to life in prison. Strangely, all the victims were found lying face down in their beds, as if they were forced into that position, with no signs of struggle or attempts to flee. Despite a thorough police investigation, no one could explain how such a violent crime had occurred without waking anyone, or alerting the neighbors with the sound of gunfire. Still, George and Kathy Lutz, along with Kathy's 3 children from a previous marriage, decided to move in, hoping to begin a new chapter in their lives. But just 28 days later, they fled the house in terror, abandoning all their possessions and never returning. From the very first night, George Lutz felt an inexplicable chill, despite the heating system working properly. He began waking up every night at exactly 3:15 a.m., the same time Ronald DeFeo Jr. had committed the murders. Strange noises echoed from the basement. Doors opened and slammed shut without reason. A crucifix on the wall twisted unnaturally. A foul odor filled the air, although there was no trash or dead animals to be found. Kathy began experiencing terrifying nightmares, vividly reliving the murders of the DeFeo family members. She often woke up with bruises and scratches on her body. Her daughter, Missy, claimed to have made a new friend, an imaginary giant red-eyed pig named Jody, who would appear at her window and vanish just as quickly. George, meanwhile, became increasingly irritable and withdrawn, obsessing over the fireplace. He would spend hours stacking logs and staring into the flames. Sometimes, he thought he saw glowing red eyes watching him from outside. But whenever he rushed out to check, nothing was there. One day, they invited a priest to bless the house. As soon as he entered the former bedroom of the 2 DeFeo boys, he was pushed back by an invisible force and heard a menacing voice snarl, "Get out!" Soon after, the priest developed a high fever and blistering skin, and he never returned to the house. The paranormal events escalated. The front door blew open violently, as if struck from the outside. Windows cracked for no reason. A green, sticky slime oozed from the walls and door locks. Crucifixes were found turned upside down. Every night, clocks stopped at exactly 3:15 a.m. On their final night in the house, George woke up to find himself levitating above his bed, while Kathy screamed in terror, feeling herself being lifted and thrown toward the ceiling by an unseen force. That night, the 28th, they gathered their children and ran from the house in a state of panic. They never spoke publicly about what happened in detail that night. What is certain is that they left everything behind and spent years recovering from the psychological trauma. The Lutz family's chilling story spread across the United States. They shared their experience with a writer, leading to the publication of the book, The Amityville Horror, which was later adapted into numerous horror films. Though skeptics argue it was all a hoax to gain fame and fortune. No one can deny that something deeply disturbing lingers within the walls of 112 Ocean Avenue, a place that was once home to a loving family of 6, but now stands as a symbol of fear far beyond imagination. The Bell Witch, Tennessee. A relentless haunting that tormented a family and terrified a nation in the early 19th century. In the quiet region of Red River, Tennessee, the Bell family, John Bell, his wife Lucy, and their children, lived peacefully on their large farm. But in 1817, something dark awakened. It began with soft knocking, footsteps in the night, and scratching on the walls. At first, they dismissed it as imagination or natural causes. But soon, the invisible presence grew bolder. Chilling laughter echoed through empty rooms. Disembodied whispers brushed against their ears as they slept. Distant scream, piercing, angry, rattled the walls though no one was there. One night, young Betsy Bell woke to find her hair yanked violently by unseen hands. She screamed, and her parents rushed in, only to find her face streaked with red handprints and her hair tangled beyond reason. From that night forward, Betsy became the target of relentless torment. She was slapped in her sleep, her nose bleeding from the force. She felt hands around her neck, choking her, though no one was there. She thrashed and cried, but nothing could free her. Though the rest of the family occasionally suffered strange incidents, the entity, soon up, the Bell Witch, focused its cruelty on Betsy. But violence wasn't its only weapon. The witch spoke. It mimicked church sermons word for word. It sang hymns, shouted vulgar curses, and spat cruel insults. Sometimes, it whispered secrets only the Bell family could have known. Its voice came from nowhere, just drifting in the air, as if the wind itself had learned to speak. The attacks soon extended to John Bell. He developed blinding headache, his body weakening day by day. He would collapse in the yard, seized by something no one could see. The witch jeered at him constantly, calling him Old Jack Bell, and vowing to end him. By 1820, John Bell was dead. Found with a strange black bottle by his bed, the family heard the witch claim triumphantly, "I gave him the poison. A few drops were fed to a farm animal. It died instantly." News of the haunting spread beyond Tennessee, eventually reaching the ears of General Andrew Jackson, who later became President of the United States. Curious, he visited the Bell property. But as his carriage approached, the wheels froze. The horses refused to move. Then came the mocking voice. "You may go no further." The carriage jolted back to life moments later. That night, one of Jackson's men was slapped so hard he flew across the tent. Invisible hands dragged him outside. By morning, Jackson and his men fled, never to return. After John's death, the witch's wrath faded, but before disappearing, it promised to return in 7 years. And in 1828, strange occurrences began again, this time in the home of one of John Bell's sons. Though less violent, the disturbances reminded them that the witch had not forgotten. Even now, centuries later, locals say that on stormy nights, in the woods where the Bell farm once stood, one can still hear strange laughter in the wind, crying, footsteps circling houses where no one walks. The Bell Witch endures as one of America's most chilling legends, an entity that cannot be explained, cannot be banished, and refuses to be forgotten.